Well, hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
Jonathan, your nose job looks fabulous.
It's not a nose job.
Neither was Linda's, okay?
That's right. It wasn't even a deviated septum. I had sinus surgery on Friday. And today's Sunday. I think I'm doing pretty well, actually.
Did you get any good opioids or anything?
I'm very brave. No, just like super Tylenol and amoxicillin. But
gosh, those addicts ruined it for all of us, you know.
I know, gosh, a couple of bad seeds.
I'm kidding. Watch, people are going to be like, awful. There are... No.
Yeah, well, we knew they were going to say it anyway, so we might as well just get it out of the way.
That's true. I like the people that are like, please be nice to the Canadians. It's almost like they know. They know how corny those things were.
There was some really fun skating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say a blanket statement about Canadians is that they do, even our friends who are Canadian, they will like do the passive aggressive text about the Americans. We're like, yes, but when it comes to their own, they know how to come together. They're working the team chemistry. They're already planning on the seeds that if the French win, it's with a judging conspiracy, and that Tessa and Scott are the best ever.
Right.
The article about Patrick was so bless. That was special.
Nothing topped the fluff piece that you sent to me, which was them literally passing a torch and reciting stilted poetry. That was something. But yeah, and some people I saw on social media were very touched by that video, but I couldn't.
I told you this is what I was trying to say. We need to bring more people into skating because it's getting like this weird super fan thing with like people who knit and are just like a little too emotional about the skaters, and we need to keep it real. You know, they would really enjoy the Canadian commentary because we only say positive things.
That's right.
You know, what did they say during the Twizzles of Weaver and Poche? Even Tracy Wilson was like, they were taking it to the edge, and it was like, really? Because it looked like they hadn't worked on those Twizzles that much. They did go to China.
Now, in general, Tracy was better than she has been in the past, especially for the men. She was like kind of talking about where people could improve, but she was still being super positive. But in the dance, she really just laid it out there and was super over the top with her compliments.
Well, I think it's hard when you're in that environment. Have you ever like been to like a church retreat or anything that's like where you kind of like get into it and it becomes a little like culty vibe by the end, and you're all like really, or like a sales conference. I did that once, and it's very team building culty, and you all just like, you're all drinking the Kool-Aid by the end, and that's what Canadian skating is like for me. Like this, like by the end, we're like, you know, they all just work really hard, and one judge gave Gabby 10s across the board for components. I mean, we just lost. It was...
Yeah, that was... And even, you know, the perfect 60 for the Virtue and Moir free dance. I mean, it's a bit... They're pretty just giving away 10s.
Well, they did skate very well. They did it to Davis and White with a similar skate in Boston at the Nationals, and I think...
And I thought it was just as over the top then. So,
just as over the top, but, you know, I think they were at least 4 points better than Weaver and Poche, so I'm fine with it. You know what? You want to give 10s at your Nationals? It was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen after the Grand Prix final, after the French got the same score at basically at their Nationals. So it is what it is.
Oh, I'm not saying it was just Canadians. I just think in general it's always a bit silly to me. Now, when you were watching on YouTube, it was interesting because some came up with the main network clips, and some were not in that final group.
Because they did a Daily Motion feed. Yes.
Yeah. So, but it was very strange to me because in a lot of the clips you would watch, they overlaid the audio.
Yeah.
So this was so strange to me. So they would announce them, and then they would play the music, but you wouldn't hear the audience clapping.
They do that on Ice Network sometimes too, and I hate it.
What is that? I don't even understand how.
And sometimes they would do that in the Audrey Wisiger Yaz competition. Like the choreographers wouldn't record the audio from the rink. They would put it over, and it never matches precisely right. There's always a little difference.
Yeah, was that because they thought that like the audio is better, the quality of the audio?
I think so, but I think the natural sound is always better. I always prefer to hear because it gives a sterile audio, and you know that's not real. I like to hear the blades, the edges, even if you can't hear the music. Well, I prefer it that way.
Yeah, and the audience response is very much a part of that experience.
Right, and maybe you like it better with the music put over. You're just wrong. So that's, yeah.
So remember that. Yeah.
It's a pet peeve of mine, actually, when that happens. But there's been a lot of news this week. So, Jonathan, I'm good because I predicted that Virtue and Moir were going to get the perfect score, so that when they got it, we were in a taxi cab going between the Downton Abbey exhibit and Sleep No More. Can we just say that I nailed Michael Shanley's birthday? Okay. The Downton Abbey exhibit with the recreated sets, with the costumes. He was living for it. Lady Mary's costumes, he was living and dying. Okay. Yes, the whole thing. Because he was like, I don't know about the Downton Abbey exhibition. And I'm like, it's going to be amazing. And it was
trust me on this one. Yeah, okay.
And I don't know if you've done Sleep No More, Jonathan, but if you want to,
I have always wanted to, so I was curious to get your take on it.
If you want to, pay a lot of money to, drink overpriced champagne and absinthe mixed together for no reason, and then run around 5 floors for, 3 hours, and you can never... So the thing is that you're supposed to be, individual and not talking, but we wound up running into each other because we were separated, which is they separate you from your party. You have different cards, and you're each having an individual experience, but 3 hours gets a little long following these people. I'm like, how many times am I going to see this girl take off her clothes, get naked, wash blood off, put the blood on, roll around in the bed with her... But it was good. It was good. I want to go back in a while when But you know what's happening. It's a little exhausting, I have to say.
That's
it was
stark
really
contrast from Downton Abbey, by the way.
Real stark contrast, but it's a similar theme, Roaring 20s, hotelier, kind of vibe going on. Mm-hmm.
And do you think, I feel like this is something potentially a Taller Cranston could have put on ice?
Yes, it's very Taller Cranston-y.
Okay.
It's very Montreal Ice Dance. The whole thing is okay.
Amazing.
I loved it, but
great.
I would have eaten before. There wasn't enough time. The Downton Abbey exhibit was full of all of the skating fans. It was sponsored by Viking River Cruises, which sponsors U.S. Nationals as well. And the skating fans were eating up down. They love Lady Mary, and it just took a little long. The ones who weren't, crying over Patrick Chan's components at the Canadian Nationals.
Amazing.
But
that fluff piece of passing the torch. Yeah.
Passing the torch. No, the vitamin C graduation one. But I feel I'm very happy Canadian Nationals happened, and that, look, Patrick Chan, he just needed some drama, to happen. Like most skaters, they perpetuate the drama. Jenny's back on YouTube. Tess and Scott got all 10s. I feel very rooted in this skating season because earlier in the week, Ashley Wagner said that she was going to go to 4 continents, or she implied it. And my
mind was blown, and that was after our recap where we were like, obviously there's no way she's going. And then on the Today Show the next day, she's like, well, I am currently training for another competition. She said she didn't name it, which made me wonder, is she just stalling? Because I thought, I don't have any sense of self if she's actually going to go to 4 continents.
Yeah. And there was a weird... and then she was pretending with one of her endorsements that she was doing on Instagram as if she was coming home from the rank training. And I was like, girl, what are you training for?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no. I'm like, I've covered Ashley for 11, 12 years. Is she different than we thought? No. She's not going to 4 continents. We got it. Nailed. Yeah. There was no way she was going.
And she shouldn't. I mean, it's, and I think also for Ross Minor, probably the same choice. It's got to be too difficult.
Too difficult. And Ross was effed over, and you're not going to want to go to 4 continents. Why would he want? You know what? No. Okay, he's exhausted. He's drained. And why would he want to go at that point? And for Ashley, because the good Japanese girls are going, she's not guaranteed to get a medal or get any prize money. She can't beat Kaori Sakamoto. There's no way. So
Right.
Yeah, no.
And the trip to Asia, that's a big trip. You know what I mean?
It's a big trip.
Yeah.
It's of the countries you want to go to, sorry, skating protocol, but I'd want to go to Tokyo. I'd want to, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like wouldn't be feeling to go to Taipei right now. I'd be like, it could be fun, but
as a one-stop destination, yeah, I agree.
I don't like to be on a plane that long, unless, and it's harder and harder because of this opioid epidemic to get the good pills. So I don't know. If I can't get a good Valium to knock myself out on a plane, like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
But here, watch this full circle. One time when I was on an international trip, I think from Hong Kong back to New York, they had a skating documentary on the airplane, and
Which
I think
documentary?
it was about Julianne and Charlie. Oh. They followed this young team. I mean, this was so many years ago, and they were like, "Here's this young team," and I remember at the time being like, "Oh, I'm not familiar with them." Lo and behold, they're going to the Olympics now.
Interesting.
See? I think that was them. Maybe
was it in
France?
French? Like, what was going on? Like, it was.
Yeah, it was just kind of a weird segment where they were like, Canadian hometown heroes are training really hard to one day make the Olympics. It was just on the plane. It was kind of funny.
Well, when I flew to Asia, I took a couple of Valium, and there was a little Chinese boy jumping up and down on the seat next to me, and normally I would be so annoyed. I was in the middle, which I hate.
Yeah, that's
I couldn't care less. I was like... It was the best plane ride ever. Okay. I don't like flying, period. I think I need to fly the plane. No. Also, this week, Tonya Harding lost her agent. Okay. Did you watch that? Did you watch the documentary?
I did not, Dave. And, here's one of the things. I was such a fan of Tonya. Mm-hmm. But she self-sabotages more than anyone I know.
I know, but you have a terrible attitude about this.
Getting better. You can just always count on her.
I was feeling Tonya out with all the articles, but I'm glad that I watched it.
Okay.
And, I mean, even though, I'm glad I watched it. We had our favorite local reporter, Ann Schatz, from that was the one that got the letter faxed to her about all of the details because Sean couldn't keep his mouth shut. So that was great. The Sandra Lucklow,
the mom with the thermos,
saying about the brandy flavoring. And then there was a debate on my Facebook page with Sandra Lucklow, who made the documentary on Tonya, The Sharp Edges. It was going on and on about these bottles. And she's like, no, I think I saw bottles of brandy flavoring. And if you have brandy flavoring, you can send it to me. Let us know if you can get drunk off of it. Tonya basically implied that her mom was drunk driving to school.
Yeah.
I kind of believe the truth is in the middle somewhere there. If you,
Right.
There's
no question that she was a victim, Tonya.
Yes.
But the problem is then she continued to live in that victimology, and that made it tough to root for her. And even here, when you were like, "This is your big chance," and then to read that she kind of messed this up as well with the agent and these sorts of things.
It's kind of good for skating because it's the most anyone has talked to me about skating at work in a long time. Everyone watched it, and there was also. There was just it was good. But I have to say, Christine was on, and Christine gives the same quotes, but the way it's edited in 2018 with more sympathy towards Tonya, it was a bad look. It was a bad look.
Yeah.
Even if she made jokes that she made elsewhere, the way it was edited, she looked kind of like the mean person talking about Tonya. It just. Because they didn't include as many people talking about how ridiculous everything was. So she was edited to be kind of like the bad cop, I would say, about it. And they also don't get the full history of Tonya, because remember how Tanya's Wikipedia used to list 8 to 10 run-ins with the law that she had after.
They got all removed.
Removed.
That was that's because people. Some really smart people were working with her, and then she bit the hand that was helping feed her, and then now she's kind of in the same boat again.
But we did see Dodie. I liked seeing Dodie. We saw Tonya skating, which was cool to see. She still has some monstrous doubles at 47. Huge talent.
That's
yeah. So
now, do you know if that's still available anywhere that we could watch?
My mom was watching some of it on YouTube and some clips and stuff. So some of it was where the mother was so fantastic. And Tonya admitted that she heard them talking ahead of time. Again, like, I think... So, people have said that she was actually drunk in the 30 for 30. And in some of them, when she goes into this, she drinks when she does the interviews.
Oh.
She didn't seem here, but she did seem to let it slip a bit towards the end. Because sometimes it, like, you know how the story has changed over the years, what
Of
she
course.
knew, you know? So, I think she kind of believes her own story after a while, but this one slipped a bit. Like, she admitted more than she usually does. So,
Okay.
But ABC showed that clip ahead of time. It was like watching something on Bravo where you know the big moment because they've queued it up 17 times. That you've already seen Teresa flip the table 17 times before she does it. When you're like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And surprisingly, no talk about the honeymoon video.
No.
Remember, that was all the rage back
There
in
was
the
a
day.
mention of it. There was a mention of the
was?
honeymoon.
Okay.
Have you seen it? I've seen the honeymoon video. So
I am sad to say that I have seen it. Yes,
yeah,
I have.
I've seen it too. You know, they didn't mention the hubcap though. They did not mention the beating up with the hubcap or the other one.
Okay.
But she looked better than she did in the Anything to Win. I thought that Tonya looked the worst she's ever looked during that documentary. All right.
But interesting tie-in also to Canadian Nationals because poor Liam had his bootstrap break just like the year before he had his suspenders go. So he's having his own Tonya run. See? So it's all kind of interconnected.
It's too tragic. When he skates, I can't make fun of Liam.
No, nor was I asking you to.
No.
It's just like
Liam is such a gorgeous skater, and I wish that he did ice dance like his brother. Although he does have a rotational ability, he doesn't seem to have... I don't know if it's... I don't really know his injury situation, but it's just looked like over the last couple of years, he just doesn't have that brute desire to compete with the jumps. Like, to get them done and to land them, and that extra competitive grit out there on the ice. Like, he was injured, and he gave up his trip to the Worlds once, or they kind of talked him into giving it up.
That was unfortunate.
So that he would have a Skate Canada, and he did, and to me... that says a lot about his competitive mind. Like, I just think that he loves skating, looks like he did. I would hire him for a show. If we put on a show with Sandra Bezic, I'd have him be like the Stephen Cousins opener. Less cheesy, more good skating. But like to set the tone for the act. And I would also really teach him basic skating and jumping for kids. I think he would be the one I would want in my skating school to like teach edges. I was watching him just stroke around, even doing like 3-turn, wide step, power, like 3-turn during his free skate, and I was like, he is so gorgeous. And he had a La La Land edit that was a lot better than Ashley's. Why did Ashley start with audition, then go to dun 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 dun, and then go back to audition? I thought it was one note and terrible. He had a good La La Land edit. It was much better.
Okay.
It was a much better.
Again, I was just, when I heard Ashley's La La Land, I was just so pleasantly surprised at how much I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
Not that I loved it, but I was just pleasantly surprised. But his was much more successful, I thought.
Much more successful. I just really wish he did ice dance or switched or something. And maybe Luba too. They could have done ice dance together. What was she doing in the pairs?
Oh, was that a heartbreak? That was tough.
You know what? I was glad. We'll get into it discipline by discipline. Okay. Let's start with the pairs, Jonathan, and let's start with them. I was really happy. Look, we knew that there were 3 spots for very good teams, and yes, they all could have won U.S. Nationals, although maybe Dylan and Luba, not so sure. Close. But I was glad that they both made mistakes so that you couldn't just say, oh, she didn't land her jumps, because he has also been deteriorating over the last 2 seasons, and I felt like it was good that they both made mistakes so you can't, like, blame someone.
I very much agree. Yeah, or that one person has to carry that guilt, even not even blame. But and now I thought when I first, so they went back to the old short, right?
Mm-hmm. Which I prefer the new short. I just thought it'd make them look more relevant.
I was unsure to why they felt the need to do that. Did they feel it wasn't working?
I don't know. I thought the Phil Collins, even though it's old music, I felt like it was oddly more current than just doing classic skating music that's not really necessary. It just...
If you're not doing Susu Studio, I don't even know why you're doing Phil Collins.
I don't know. I liked the In the Air Tonight program. I really thought that they were finding like a kind of current vision to their skating that was kind of working for them, what they were saying this year.
It was their own voice, for
Yeah.
sure, whether or not it was your style. But, like, the short program especially, I was surprised. I might have even had them second. I know they ended up under-rotating her jump, but I thought the PCS should have been much higher because they have the most sophisticated overall look.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how sometimes we talk about important skating versus not important skating?
Mm-hmm.
They're, after Eric and Megan, they sort of seem the most a real pair to me, even though obviously their errors were too big to have ignored, I guess, this time around. But and he was injured clearly, and they were having obviously all their jump issues. But
so
as
unlike
a pair, their skating is better.
Yeah, unlike the USFS, I really felt like the Canadian judges and the selection committee were all on the same page here. When you watch the short scoring and results,
Right.
I felt like they knew they were going to pick Julianne and Charlie, and then it was going to be between Kirsten and Dylan, and I think that they were leaning Kirsten, but giving Dylan the opportunity if they did a great one. But it seemed like the order in the short was the order that they kind of
and that was the order that surprised me. I think, what happened in the long was sort of, they didn't really give them a choice, the judges. But in the short, I could have seen that go a couple of different ways. It's strange because I happen to be, on a personal level, rooting for Kirsten, because, I don't know, I somehow identify with her journey, and I love that she's, like, fighting back and all this sort of stuff. But
she looks the best she ever has. She really has committed to doing eccentrics and changing her diet, and she has a new look, and she really bonds with Julie Marcotte, I know, artistically. And just from talking to her about, because I know that they work with Julie at least once or twice a week, and I felt like their program, the Un Enfant, which means an angel has died or whatever and has passed, I love it. I love when she skips. It's the best she's ever looked. She looks fantastic in the short as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like she is a wonderful skater and gorgeous and is giving you that second-time Olympian regalness on the landing of the throws, and that Michael's a really nice guy. I think that it's...
what it is because I was looking closer, and he gets better. He has made improvements from when we first saw him, but he lacks like a liberation. There's not a freedom to his steps.
There's no posture whatsoever. And it's hard because she looks world class. And it's hard because he is doing better. But it's so funny because Ted Barton, who is being so Canadian and so nice and someone that people who liked the fluff pieces in Canada would love, was trying to discuss like the problem when Kirsten and Michael got together. And I remember she asked me this because I think I said in the beginning, I'm like, this is not going to work ever. And
it didn't seem like it would,
And I don't know if it's still, she's really working and he's getting it done. It's still not a real pair, but it's getting a lot better. But it's still not 100%. It's
all you can do is be better than you used to be, right? That's what they're doing,
But it's an interesting thing. It's just that he doesn't have what she has. He doesn't have that extra little star quality that is just innate at this point. So
because even it's in its own parallel. There's Aliona and Bruno. Yeah. But Bruno is bringing something to the table, an energy. It just doesn't. How could it possibly match Aliona's, right? So we've talked about it's that kind of conversation, but on a different level. Yeah.
She looks spectacular. The one thing I'll say is that their double axel half loop triple sows have not been that successful in competition. They never take off at the same point.
Right.
I almost wonder if I would ditch it and have them do something else. They've trained triple flips. They've trained they've trained triple loops. I think. I wonder if you would just do the triple sow and not do the double axel half loop. It just seems like it rushes them. It makes them a little nervy doing that extra half loop.
Well, and that's a hard thing I would think to sync up timing wise. I don't even know that the most established of pairs would find that an easy timing kind of thing.
Yeah.
It
would be challenging.
But
I thought they looked great. I think Julianne and Charlie, though, there's something about them. I think that they have a very musical approach. They worked with David Wilson and Marie France in their programs. I think Josie Picard, because she's such a coach that's coached for years in the old system, doing both dance and pairs, I think that they have like a very organic musical thing happening. That even though I always talk with Megan and we're always talking about levels, and she always thinks that Kirsten's going to beat Julianne and Charlie, and there's something about Julianne and Charlie where there's like a little component, benefit of the doubt, something that I always think they're going to get at the end of the day, because they have...
You do find yourself rooting for them. One, she looks more like Amy Schumer than ever, right? Like, that's all I see when I see her out there. And I was like, tell us a joke. But the other thing is they're unique. They kind of stick out, whereas like in, Kirsten and Michael, and even to a point, now Luba has her exquisite positions that kind of makes her own thing, but Julianne and Charlie have always had their own identity.
They're a real pair.
Yeah, they're a real pair, and they seem so different than all the others in a refreshing way that I really respond to.
I think it helps that they have like one coach who's like focused just on them, you know, and they're getting all of her intensity.
Yeah, they're not in a pairs factory at the moment. Yeah,
and I think that's helped them.
Of course, yeah.
And sometimes I think some of these skaters need more competition daily. But this team they've gotten them to really look like a true pair over time. So
I'm glad they were someone I was rooting for. So I was glad to see them make the team and do well.
No, they were second after the short, even though she fell on the side-by-side Salchow, because Kirsten and Michael lost some levels. Right. They were able to make that up. So
she fell, but I think she rotated, didn't she?
Yes. I think she rotated. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was interesting. And Eric and Megan, aside from his Lutz looking like it is hanging on by a real thread, and that throw just not showing up in competition this season, they look so much better.
They look rested to me in a nice way, because that's what I was noticing in the fall, is I just identified with how tired they must feel. And I was like, they look like they were fresh in a way. And his Lutz was much closer in the free, even though I think it's 2-footed, but it wasn't as nervy as perhaps I was watching it in the fall. So
yeah, I felt like the switch to Hometown Glory, because they're ending their careers, and I think that they are emotional about leaving skating a little bit behind, and I felt like there's an honesty to that program. It elongates their lines. I know that they've tried to work on that, and I think it's long. There's something longer about the movement and the choreography that
Grant,
yeah. And it helps them, because I feel like the other one is so up-tempo that there's like a rushed vibe to it sometimes, and it wasn't...
And they can take their time and hit those positions. Yeah.
So, but hopefully they can figure out the throw, because they land it in practice, although they don't, maybe, I don't know the percentage, but there are many videos of them landing that throw quad sal, and it just hasn't happened in the competition. So.
I still think about that video where she does this was, I think, 2 summers ago on Instagram, where she did the throw quad sal into the throw quad Lutz.
Yes.
And I was like, geez Louise.
Yes.
Fearless, that girl.
Yeah.
Just fearless.
But yeah, I felt the pair team, I feel really good about it. So let's break down the men, because this was a rough as shit competition. I think
before we move on, in the pairs, how would you, if you were head of Skate Canada, how would you approach the team competition?
I would have Megan and Eric do the short, and I know she wants to skate as much as possible, because it's going to be their last Olympics and everything. I would have my team would be Tessa and Scott doing both.
Okay.
It would be Patrick Chan obviously doing both.
Right.
And I would have Caitlin Osmond do the short, regardless of the bad competition here. I think that she's such a strong short program skater with that.
Absolutely.
There's no way I would have Osmond do the long. I would have Daleman do the long.
Larkin do the long, you said?
Yeah, no. Daleman do the long. And I would have Megan and Eric do the short, and Julianne and Charlie do the long.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Or Kirsten and Michael if the practices are going really well, but I think that's what I would do.
It's such an opportunity, I think. Like, those are the people who are probably still now hungry for that assignment, because that can get them an Olympic medal that they may not be in the running for otherwise. But lest we forget, Kevin Reynolds, Olympic silver medalist. Yeah.
Yeah. I would debate the line between the three teams based on who's doing well, but I think I would open that one to be the second substitution, and however the practices are going, I would kind of make the decision there.
Okay.
And I would keep it open because, yeah. What do you think? What would you do, Jonathan?
Yeah, I almost would have Megan and Eric do both and maybe give two dance teams the chance to medal.
Yeah, but Tess and Scott could win. Okay, if Canada's going for Olympic gold. Tess and Scott are going to get first or second in those two things. If you put Piper in there, they could get third or fourth.
Right.
And that could open the door up to Russia, the U.S.
Yeah.
You don't know how Patrick's going to place. He could get a first. He could get a fifth. He could get, that's the one that scares me more.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'd have to think about it more than I did.
I think you do, Jonathan, okay? I think we need to think about it. This is about winning, okay?
Yeah,
I talked to Suzanne today. Let me tell you.
Medal. Okay.
Suzanne had a rough opening first meet on Friday night.
She's going to make adjustments.
We're making adjustments with these girls, all right? They've got some weird superstitions and things that they do.
Okay.
And, we're going to break those things because we're going to change.
That's good. That's smart.
There are some weird mental things going on here. We're going to change. I was like, you go, Suzanne. Okay?
Yeah, we adore her. We wish she would do stuff with skating.
I think she would really have helped Ashley realize the opportunity. Okay?
Yeah, it's true.
We're going to change things around here. Okay? I was like, yeah. Okay? Oh, my God. You know who should help? Patrick Chan. Okay? You know what I have to say?
Robbie did. Maybe.
He's worked with him how many? 4 days? 3 days? Whatever.
But it could help him focus, I think.
Here's
Patrick coming here and having the experience he did, the fact it was like a Christopher Bowman thing when Frank was like, how did you just pull that out of your hat? Like, you haven't even been training. It's a testament to his talent, but I hope he's encouraged by this, and now he'll hit the ground running for the Olympics.
So I think he is a brilliant talent.
Yeah.
I think he is arrogant. I think that he has reason to be arrogant. I also think he has reason to be humbled and to see that maybe he has to focus with a real jump technician once in a while and do the run-throughs because he, when he was in Detroit, did not like doing them, and of course he was better than that. I do think that this is his own making. He seems to... I think he created his own drama here. I think this whole Olympic situation, but I don't think he wants the pressure of the individual medal. I think he wants the team and not worrying about that with the ego being bruised, I think. So, but I think at Skate Canada has been so up his butt for so long, vaunting him as this, larger than life figure. Even when he was winning those titles, when he was falling, and, you can debate those, but I think that they fed his ego so strong, and that's part of their whole fluff piece, and they never criticize their skaters, they only build them up. I think it kind of created a monster that they kind of had to deal with this season and figure out.
Well, and now the skating, it's justified. It's beautiful skating.
Yes.
Like, to see his spins, like, it was like looking at figures, like just the marks he left on the ice. It was like, holy cow, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But in the interviews, you were a little like, oh my gosh, talking about how he's Michael Jordan and they're basically the same thing and all this sort of stuff. And you were kind of like, wow, okay, that's one way to look at yourself.
So you know how Jeremy would always say something... You knew that every time Jeremy's interviewed by Christine Brennan, he's going to be nervous and say something stupid, right? Like, that's just, like, what's going to happen. Every time Patrick gives an interview, he's going to say something that sounds really arrogant and really regretful. Like, that's just...
And the interesting thing is, I'm going to say it's controversial and it's not meant to be nationally biased, but I used to think Jeremy's edges were even more beautiful than Patrick's in certain ways. There was an ease to Jeremy's that was a little bit more fluid to me at times. But the overall posture of Patrick is greater. But just, I don't know. That was just me.
Well, Jonathan, you did sit with the Abbott family during Nationals. But
I did love it.
They're both wonderful. I think that Patrick has more agility. I think Jeremy knows how to set up something like a triple Lutz a little bit better. Sometimes Patrick, his setup and the arms get a little off. Yeah. But I will say that his Dust in the Wind short program is... and look, He has 4 weeks until the Olympics. That's probably more training time than he's done in a year consistently. If he does full run-throughs from now and then of both programs, I think he could be so primed for these Olympics and do really well.
And I think this championships may be the encouragement he needed. Yeah. I can't imagine we'll see him at Worlds afterwards. No way.
Well, they need to send someone. I mean,
yeah, Lord. Exactly.
Although I really understand some giving him some 10s. I would have given Patrick for the free. I would have given him 10s in skating skills, transitions, and choreography. I would have gone 9.5 on the others. Well, 9 on performance execution because those landings got so sloppy, and I deduct for that after the overall impression. I would have gone 9.5 in the interpretation. I always feel like there's a little more he could give emotionally.
Of course. But the skating skills, I mean, I don't know what's better. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like the short. I think the short is so wonderful. I love the music. I love the Kansas, the Dust and the Wind. I thought it was so great. I loved it. All right. This is a little bit of Sophie's choice. We're just 2 things that I hate.
Okay.
A shticky chaplain program.
Okay.
And a shticky Lestrada.
Right.
With Jonathan, how do you choose between 2 things I can't stand? How do you pick the worst Scott Hamilton aspects of skating that you're...
Exactly.
What do you pick?
This is one I wish I actually had seen in person. Because I feel like we used to see Keegan all the time, at U.S. Nationals, where it was very exciting yet very out of control.
Yes.
Is how I remember my emotional state when he would skate. Fast, fun edges, like a performer. But again, it was wild. And Nam, of course, the noodly aspect, which was both of them were much improved here.
Yes, both were.
So that's why I think the in-person assessment would be the only way to go, because like you watching it on the clip, I was like, obviously neither of these programs is a work of art, but I don't know. I almost would have liked to have seen Nam there because I was so impressed at how much he improved.
Did you notice he was in the graduation, the passing the torch fluff? They had him and Chan together juxtaposed, and I really felt like, because they had, the next generation ice dance team that Canada's getting behind there, they really seemed like they thought it was going to be Nam who was going.
Well, this is a very encouraging nationals to think that. For a while he kind of like lost his way when he went down to San Jose and stuff like that. But this seemed, he still lands, especially in combinations, he lands in a total hunch. Yeah. And it seems almost to be his strategy is to land the first jump in a hunch and then go into the second jump, which is not very aesthetically pleasing. But in general, like the posture was much improved. There's still way to go, but I find it encouraging when there's actual visible improvement.
Yeah.
So I hope if Patrick pulls out of Worlds, which I foresee happening based on nothing other than my gut, I hope Nam does a great job there.
Yeah.
To kind of solidify that improvement.
The way that they've asked Patrick about Worlds, I don't know if this is some part of some agreement, but I don't think Patrick is going to Worlds either. So I think we will see those 2.
Yeah.
And they have to keep Nam in skating because I'm sure it's very... Look, apparently Nam's dad used to teach off-ice jump classes with no expertise at the cricket club. So I'm sure that this is a skating parent who is very upset right now. So...
Okay.
This is,
he was second in the long, but he just gave away too many points in the short, So,
short, I will say, I really like that Conrad Orzel skater. There's something about him that's like throwback. I hated the pants, but Conrad, if you could just get rid of those diamonds going down, I think that you're a really gorgeous skater, and that once you land these quads and axle, that there's something about you. I would really think it's like throwback skating that I just think is delicious. I just think it's wonderful. And he's got the wind in the hair, and he has the right look, and he's musical.
Well, when you said, be sure to check him out, and I watched him, I was like, oh, for sure, I get this. Why, you especially like it. I got it.
Why do I like it, Jonathan? What's my...
The aesthetic, the style, the overall approach. I was like, yeah, I get this, 100%. Because everyone else is kind of behind this. Gogolev.
He's 12, 13. He's like a fetus doing quad lutz and then doubling.
And he did a quad lutz in the warm up that I was like, whoa! He's like baby Plushenko almost too. My question, we talk so much about the jump technique of the women, or girls, I guess, before puberty, and who's going to last through it with the technique. And I was trying to look very carefully at his technique, and it was, do you look at it the same way with young boys as you do with young girls, that the tendency is to go shoulders? Because he didn't seem to be jumping with his shoulders.
No. I mean, it's usually the Russians that use the arms a lot more.
Yeah, to compensate. Because
but Orser is more leg-oriented with his technique.
Because it seemed like a technique that would be sustainable and continue to grow. So it seemed encouraging.
I just worry about when someone gets that much pressure on them that young in Canada, because they go behind one person and you're like, this is early to be going all behind him. But he looks like a real phenom, so he could be...
And Roman Sandowski, I think that's how you say his name. He also had a nice outing. So.
Lovely skater as well, I think... and Alaj really, did really well for him, and
it was a really nice moment. Especially, I'm much more into the style of his short program than the free program. But the short, especially for me, was a really lovely moment.
So let's move on to the ice dance, Jonathan, because
this was exciting. Yeah,
this was very exciting.
Yeah,
I'm into the Piper and Paul short dance with the costume change and the mambo. I think Piper is selling it.
Yeah.
I love it. I wish that they could make this into a free dance because I think it's spectacular. I think anytime she gives you sass and that look in her eye and the performance level, and I love that. I don't get why he has to go shticky in every program, but he does, and it kind of works with the costume change.
Well, interestingly enough, and I can't believe I'm about to say it, the costume change is almost too subtle. Like, it happens, obviously the sleeves themselves are very loud, but as it happens, it's not a wow moment. It's kind of, it subtly just appears. Versus when, our French girls do them, it's a real stop, aha moment. But I really like them, and I was intrigued. I didn't mind the Perry Mason free dance.
I did.
Okay, it wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it. But so I thought, wow, this is, especially for free dance, to switch it and do it, not go back, but create a new one. That's a pretty big ordeal, especially to like ease into the program. And when it first started, I was kind of like, okay, I guess this is just different. I don't know. But then all of a sudden they got into, I don't even know how you would describe this move. They were like doing cantilevers into each other. And in that like sexy slow movement, I was like, this is good. And then the way it ended, the way it like built into the end with these like neat lifts and moves and rotational things, it was really exciting. And I was like all in, especially from like the second half of the program on. It had some really cool ideas. I just don't know that they can. I should reword it. I hope that they can tighten it up and ease, feel more comfortable with it by the time the Olympics come, because it does have a lot of potential.
Tracy had like a Canadian way of calling it kind of sloppy and rough around the edges, but she was like, they have a lot of time to get it ready, even though it's not that many weeks. But she kind of let you know without knowing it, but it was in the most Canadian way of being like, well,
exactly.
It still looks like a new program in its potential, and it's this. I was like, there you go, Tracy. This was
there. You go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, some of the puzzle pieces are definitely there.
Yeah. I still wish they went back to the Hitchcock because I think it was so spectacular.
That's my favorite too. I almost, they go wacky. And you would have to wonder, like, could you actually go wackier?
I think they could. I want to see. I imagine that if they want to move ahead, they need to change coaches after this Olympics and maybe do something different and see.
Yeah.
I probably said something sacrilegious. People are like, "Oh my God, how dare you!" But
they do interesting things, but I think that there's even more interesting stuff that probably can be drawn out. And he has this look, right? Like and they do this stagey thing, like at the end of the Bond, they were still kind of in a character, but I felt like he wasn't dropping the character even in the kiss and cry. Like, she got so excited when she realized she was going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And he kind of maintained this kind of smolder, and I was like, what's happening over there?
I think he looks great in that Alex Johnson costume. I was like, yes.
Exactly.
Weaver and Poche. First of all, one of the best fluff pieces ever. That'll be the end of this video.
Okay, good, because I didn't see that one. Is that the one where you were saying Morozov was talking about?
Morozov, so they talk about when they called Nikolai, and he did the whole real Russian thing, because the Russians are always using, like, psychological warfare. Like, obviously, Nikolai wanted a team and wanted to be back in the mix, but of course he's going to play it when they call him. Like, he's not that interested. And he was like, well, you used to be one of the best. Why you're not one of the best right now?
Okay.
And then they said that he had them skate the last season's free dance, the one that I really hated. The one where they tried to be avant-garde and deep and it just fell flat. And he was like, well, I think the music is boring. I think that you have overly complex choreography that doesn't look difficult. And that my 12-year-old daughter could skate faster than you. And it's like, they were like, wow, okay. So,
okay, you're not in Canada anymore, honey.
Yeah. You're not in Canada anymore. Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. I feel their twizzles still are like their
Have you
weakest
ever
moment.
seen a bigger guffaw on a twizzle?
No.
I don't think so. I couldn't recall a bigger twizzle mishap, actually, that I'd ever seen.
They looked really bad in the free, too. But everything else in the free was very good, and I thought that Nikolai has added some passion and life to that program. And I think it was really the right choice going back to that program. And
it is just interesting when they first, created the importance of twizzles and ice stands back in the day, and Dick Button kept, doing his old man thing and was like, I don't understand. Well, who cares? Who cares about a twizzle? And it is so funny that, like, you can do this whole program and that just this one strange maneuver somehow is defining your entire success technically as an ice dancer.
They needed something that was like a jump to like legitimize it. That this is just to make it look sporty.
Like they chose Twizzle. They could have even chosen something else, but it is so funny to think, or interesting.
They did this to make it a little more objective, so they have something to talk about. That's just
and it has become a huge talking point. I mean, they were fourth, after the short because of that. So intriguing. They are performers, though. I will give them that. Even when they had the questionable material when they first went to Morozov, they always sold it honestly as best they could. I thought, even if we didn't care for the material, they were always performing. So
I think this program was good. I think it overall was. It gave them some lift. I think the free dance, and that'll give them some momentum moving forward. All right. So Tessa and Scott. The reworked program, as Tracy Wilson said, the greatest ice dancers of all time. Canada is, anytime they reference, there was a judging controversy 4 years ago. They really are laying it on thick. The greatest ice dancers of all time, even better than Torvill and Dean, Tracy said. And, she is the one that told us.
That one was tough for me, but I understand what she's saying. But
I kind of agree with her, although Torvill and Dean are fantastic. But...
Well, the thing it is, way to go, Jonathan. The thing is, Torvill and Dean just were a bit more revolutionary at the time. Like Tessa and Scott are far superior in almost every other way, and of course it's their longevity that's so impressive.
I think Tessa and Scott made the dance a little bit classier and less over the top Russian. Like they made it a little bit more honest, but I think that some of that's Marina's influence too, and their coaches. Like it wasn't
of course,
because before them we were in the era where every ice dance costume looked like it went through a shredder, and it was really just the worst for a long time. And I think
lest we forget the Aboriginal costumes of 2010 for your bronze medalists. Yes, I agree. A very slick, classy, refined, kind of beautiful aesthetic. Yeah.
So I do think that they've been revolutionary in a more subtle way than Torvill and Dean have. They're both great. I don't like comparing people from different eras. I think it's ridiculous. So
Oh my God,
yeah,
totally. Yeah.
So they were both effing great. Okay,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you want to think that she's the best ever? Fine. You want to think
Great.
Beverly Dean are the best ever? Fine. And
Yeah,
you
exactly.
both have a valid argument there.
That's
So
right. Nice touch, Dave.
I will say, I like the changes to the free in an Olympic sense. I think it ends triumphant. It helps people get rousing from the seats, and maybe that's what they need to contrast with the French. I think artistically, when you change an artistic vision, it's strange to me when you have this thing that she's gonna die at the end, and they've changed the music at the end. I think your original artistic idea is probably what you should go with, and they've completely turned it from a tragedy to like a...
You're writing a script, right?
Yeah.
And then now you've completely changed the ending at the last minute, but you don't need to change everything leading up to that to inform that ending. You know what I mean? Does the new ending basically where she lives? I mean...
Well, it's weird because she's living and she's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Final second. And
she gave you everything she had and she died in a beautiful moment. It's a little strange, that to me, but it's still great.
Well, so... Here we go with the opera lesson. So Moulin Rouge is the pop version of Traviata.
Okay.
By Verdi. And so there is actually a huge moment in the final scene of Traviata where she keeps singing Renage, and she has this moment where she's revived, right before she's dead, and she has this big surge of energy and then drops dead.
So actually, is she dying now at the music change? Is that what's happening? Because they have her... She's draped, her body is draped over his when Come What May comes in. I miss when she skated around him in a circle. I just thought it was such a beautiful, striking moment of Tessa. I love seeing her in that blue practice dress. I think that is the dress of the year.
That was stunning. That was really stunning.
I used to love when she would go around him, but I kind of get it. I get what they're doing, why they're going. It's so Canadian. It's so big. It's so like...
In a way, it's a bit obvious. It's a bit more. It's a bit showier.
Aren't the Olympics about obviousness, though? Isn't it a little? I always
feel
like
it depends on your mission statement as an artist.
Look at what's won the Olympics, okay?
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah, they're going for a Tara, not a Michelle moment.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get it. I don't know. They might. They look confident in their material now. They look like they've calmed the F down. Maybe it was just because it was Canadian, so they're not against their... But I kept saying that I felt like... And they've reworked the step sequences. And I kept feeling like they were rushing them. And they seem to not be fighting each other. They've changed some of the movement. It's less oppositional. I think that they have calmed down and settled into the program a bit.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and if they needed that big end to feel more confident about it, then the thing is, they did something, and they had to do something. Clearly, they have to give a reason to look at them anew. Mm-hmm. And so they did that. It just, there's no denying their talent. There's no denying their ability. And I'm just going to say it. I think that my favorite free dance of this year is Hubble and Donahue.
I would love... La said she wants to see Tessa and Scott do Hubble and Donahue's, and I think that Tessa... could even give it more than Maddie and Zach combined. I think she has that side to her.
She's exquisite.
She chooses to give us a pristine image at all times, but as we saw with Carmen, she could give it that way too. So.
Oh yeah. And I mean, again, my criticism is only of the program, not about them. It's of the program. I thought his new costume was better. Mm-hmm. I thought that was greatly improved, and they're great skaters. But again, it's just. For my take, it's just not my favorite.
I do love the quasi-Detroiter at the end. I think it is cool. I do kind of like it. It adds something. So, but I do kind of
hand gesture up on his legs, she moves beautifully.
Yeah.
So
come on, probably the most beautiful flower skating has ever seen, other than Katya Gordieva, until Katya went into the Adia boots, is Tessa Virtue. Okay, come on. All right,
amazing.
This is, All right, those two are come on. All right, I get it. So we have to talk about the ladies, Jonathan. We're gushing about the pairs. So Canada obviously was not hoping for Daleman to be the national champion. Obviously, they would love to send Caitlin Osmond there.
Right.
What the heck happened to Caitlin Osmond at this competition? They were ready to give her the Canadian send-off. Like, what?
Yeah. It's pretty tricky. You know, even... I do like that Edith Piaf short program. But
Milo,
But that could probably grow tiresome after 2 years.
I'll
do it. With her scarf to boot. I mean, again, I'm not quite sure what's happening with the flip. And every time I see a triple Lutz double toe loop, all I do is think of the Lillehammer short programs, because that's like...
Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, pum, pum, ba-da-dum.
Lovely, Dave. Lovely.
Bum, bum. I love that Mark Militano music, don't you?
Yeah.
Ba-da-dum.
We could just have you overlaying all of the broadcast music.
Da-dun, da-da-dun. She's stepping into the double axel now. Okay.
What are you going to tell Caitlin Osmond to do? Do you think maybe training with Patrick can help?
I think Caitlin Osmond, that this could take some of the pressure off and that she'll have something to focus on. She made mistakes other than the pressure of competing with these Russian girls. I think that she can just focus on just nailing her programs and get out of her head about being a medal favorite, because unless she lands her jumps, she's not. That's the thing. She's not. She's one of those people that could be second, third at the Olympics.
Raw talent makes her a contender, but there are a lot of girls with raw talent.
She could be ninth, and that's how deep the ladies are. With one or two mistakes, you could really. Same thing with Gabby. I mean, I don't think Gabby has the potential of Osmond, and she probably did her best performances of the year at the Nationals, but she showed us that she medaled at Worlds when other people made mistakes. So
Well, yeah, and she's the one maybe not relying on the same kind of raw talent, but can sneak in when those other ones falter, like here. Yeah. So, intriguing. Yeah. I'm curious, because the Swan Lake has never gone quite the way she wants.
No, and I think that that's Jeff being younger as a choreographer, making that error, not standing up and saying, I don't think this is the right vehicle for you. Although there are moments where she does look more refined. Overall, it's still a mismatch, and the end of the program is not it for me. So,
well, the lights went out, especially here.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of thing, and I saw it live in France at the Grand Prix, and there are exciting moments to it, but when it's not going well, she takes herself right out. And even if she was all the way in, it might not be the perfect fit. But she's yet to, I think, really be all in, because she's been sidetracked by all the technical issues.
I do like the layback moment, I will say. I think it's nice, and that... but the ending footwork, to me, just dies, and, it brings up, because Sasha did the footwork to the same point of the music, and it was so much better, and she was so much more balletic, and
Yeah, exactly.
But her jumps are great when she does them, but I just think mentally in the long, I don't give her the edge. It makes me think that Carolina could be set up to have the Olympic moment for the medal. Who's going to So
could be.
It could be. But it could be Osmond, and I don't think it's going to be Daleman, but she skated out of her skin here.
It could be Maria.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want it to be, but it could be.
How do you solve a problem like Maria?
You get Caitlin Osmond at land her jumps. That's how you solve a problem like Maria.
All right. So Elaine Chautran.
Bye.
That
was tough to watch, that short program. That was really tough.
Really tough. And I feel for anyone who skates like that, who has that kind of a performance, especially at the moment of your life that you've been waiting for. That's rough. So... I don't know. I don't know where her career goes forwards. Her career seems to have been on fuel.
And she's been one of those girls that gives off a very strange energy, both in performance and in the kiss and cry.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those. This happens in opera
Wounded,
all the time.
Wounded. Yeah.
Yeah. She just seems off-putting, and I think the minute you stop performing, it's easy to not help you in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. That's rough. The one weird thing is that when people go to Christy Crawl, and sometimes she works on the perfecting of the technique, someone was telling me that when Agnes was there, she would spend like a whole session trying to do perfect technique on a double Lutz, and she would never actually get to the full program or the full triple or the full set of triples because there's so much of a focus on doing perfecting the technique
concept.
that you lose all of the cardiovascular, you lose the whole sections, and there's something missing in that training. And I think we've seen it a lot from, although Patrick really refined his technique with Christy, and that quad toe he got so beautifully, but on some of it seems like you lose the overall training. So it's interesting because they've never been great long program skaters, the Christy Crawl students. Like it's like the Angela Wang effect of,
right. Well, she seems like she would be someone I would want to have a part of my team.
Yes.
Yeah, but as an additional piece of information, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so let's talk about it. I know you have a lot of feelings about our girl Larkin. Remember, I was the one, I was like, she reminds me of a cabaret singer, and it's not just the short program, it's the hair. It's the thing that she looks like she could be anywhere between 18 and 55 based on how she's styled. I think she's a throwback. I don't think that she's a real talent. I think she's one that has a modest amount of talent and a big work ethic. I think that she's someone who has gotten where she is with grit and hard work. I'd put her in a skating show. I don't think that she's ever going to be world champion. Saying that, Jonathan, why do you feel so strongly about Larkin?
Okay, well, interesting that you bring up that, like, you can't tell what her age is, because also a couple of things is in our circles, people have been referring to Kevin Reynolds as Rachel Flat in drag, which I think is a really accurate description. And also, sometimes when I look at Weaver and Posey, I think he looks like Rupert Everett and she looks like Christina Applegate. So there's a lot of, like, celebrity doppelganger things going on here. Our friend Larkin. Okay. I'm
a fan.
I was offended. I was really offended by the skating and by the energy and by the programs and by the kiss and cry reactions and by her entity. And I'm really sorry. I don't know her. She could be lovely. I'm sure.
Jonathan, she's like an 11th place girl who wound up going to the Olympics. She's allowed to cry. This was never going to happen to her. She's probably been told that she's talentless like her entire life, okay? She's probably been...
It could have been really endearing to me and something. I'm big into this performance energy, and it was really closed off and cold, and I wasn't rooting for her. And I find this sometimes, like, there are certain skaters you just find yourselves rooting for, and she is not one of them, I guess, is what I will say.
She's like the little engine that can't sometimes in that short program, but she was the little engine that could and long, and except for that double axel, triple toe.
And then the other triple toe.
We need to teach her just to double it at the Olympics. Larkin, you're probably going to be in the first group. Just do a clean double. If it doesn't feel right, just have a nice skate, okay? Just go out there and be pretty.
Enjoy your experience. Yeah.
She looks like she'd be in like the third to last group in '94. I mean, that's the level of skating, but come on. All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Chouinard would have pummeled her at a Nationals, no question.
Well, if Jose fell during the warm-up like she fell in any of those long programs in the 93-94 season, I think she might have taken her out, okay?
Okay. She does have on the Lutz especially, she has, or maybe it was the flip.
She doesn't look like she's meant to do a triple Lutz, okay?
On the flip, she had a nice tight leg position with some pointed toes that were kind of nice, but that's me saying something positive. So just in general, just wasn't for me. Just wasn't
She's
for
giraffe-y. Me. I think that you should like her.
I know, and that's, there are exceptions to every rule.
Come on, she's like a lounge singer, She's
I like lounge singers.
She's like a lounge singer performing a cover, right? Like, she clearly wouldn't have her own single, and you wouldn't want to hear it if she did. But she's performing, like, the Adele song on the radio, and with a couple drinks in you, she could be good.
You can take bathroom breaks at lounge acts, too, and I may do that. If she
you know what? You're a hater, okay?
I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Old news, but just, there are many skaters I enjoy watching, and she just doesn't do it for me, and that's okay.
I kind of root for her, because I don't think she's a talent at all. So I'm like, you worked hard, and they try with her, okay? She's better than the others.
There are those moments where it's like, in spite of the lack of talent, your hard work is
You know
paid
what
off.
it is? I like to watch Gabby Daleman in a short program. Like, Gabby Daleman in a free is too much Gabby Daleman for me. Like, it's too much,
I get that.
It's too much Megan Duhamel in the singles for me. You know, like, I don't want to see that. I prefer Megan Duhamel in pairs, and Daleman just... No.
You know, I forgot these were Lori Nickel programs.
Well, they don't look like them because...
They don't. And do you think that's because Lori felt like she couldn't do as much with Gabby, perhaps? Or maybe... that Gabby has left things out?
Both. And you know, and you can only do what you can do. And you can only... She's had years of the posture and the leg wrap and the unrefined quality. So there's only so much you can do.
So the first, speaking of like trying to find these videos, the first short program video I found from Nationals with the Carmen was for some reason in slow motion. The sound, the audio was slowed down. So then when the Carmen came in, she was like, whoa, whoa. It's like, oh my gosh, did she change it for an even worse recording? But no, I just had like some weird bootleg clip that I was watching. But obviously we've discussed the Carmen, not a fan. And the idea of Lori Nickel doing a Rhapsody in Blue could have been more monumental, I think, in my head. This one just sort of falls flat. But again, she nailed, so you didn't really have a choice. You had to give it to her.
I like any skater that photoshops off half of their body every time she posts on Instagram. And
Let's talk about it.
They get more and more outrageous as we go. She needs to watch Jenny's channel, Beautiful, okay? I think that she... Yes.
So, here's the thing. Gabby's beautiful.
Yes,
you know,
looks great.
She's not like a typical like ice princess kind of pretty.
Has abs anyone would want. So
she has a great body. She looks tremendous. But then it's tough when she reposts. Skate Canada will post the picture of her, and then she will repost it, but she will have face-tuned like her body away to the fact that it looks wrong, and you just want to give that girl a hug and be like, "You're enough.
Yes,
stop it. Like, don't do that. You don't." That's sending an unfortunate message.
Yeah.
Because I think she's beautiful and she's powerful.
But so many skaters do the Facetune. Hers just is not as skilled. It
looks like, you know, I tried to do that. You know, do you remember when I think she was from Spain. There was the lady that she was like an amateur artist, and she tried to retouch up the Jesus mural in her cathedral.
No, I don't know this.
Oh, Dave, I'm going to send it to you because it's like this beautiful, like, Jesus with the crown of thorns, and this woman tried to, like, fix it. And it looks like a South Park character when she's finished with it. I'll send it to you. But
speaking of Jesus, Alexa, I was not insulting your religion. Okay.
No one ever did. No one. That's not a thing.
Believe for myself. I have been told, when we were in CCD for many, many hours, I remember that a teacher was like, you don't pray for victory in a soccer game. You don't pray for that toy that you want for Christmas. All right? You ask Santa for that. And you're not supposed to pray for selfish things, right? You can pray for strength or something. But right. I laugh at any time a football player is like, well, I'd like to thank God for helping us, win the Super Bowl. And you're like...
As if he didn't have more important things to be doing that day.
Haiti, world peace, your triple SoCal. So that's what I'm laughing at. It has nothing to do with that. So that is the whole...
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sorry, like, that is just... It's so funny to... Because then you're like, wait a second, so is God, like, picking this skater?
Another pair? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he likes you more than another pair. And why is that? You know, like, that's just, like, a strange thing. It's a strange rabbit hole to go down when you really think about it.
And back in the day, there was a thing because the Christian movement was taking up "Not Today, Satan," and yes. I think on an episode we merely pointed out: do they understand that actually it was coming from
Drag Race?
Yeah. Do you realize that? But that's all. That's all.
Yeah.
No one. I don't care what religion you are.
No. So that's.
Yeah.
With her, it just came out of the blue, and all of a sudden they start to. But it's fine. It's. Look, Tammy Faye Baker. I watched the documentary and I love Tammy Faye. So all I'm saying, I'm into the prosperity gospel, all of it. Okay. So anyway, Jonathan, my favorite little skater is back. She got second at the Cup of Moscow. Moscow. Anna Sherbakova. I think she is the most beautiful skater in all of Russia because she actually is musical. Yes, I know, you're going to say it and you're going to hate it because she's like doing the hand clap games at the...
Well, and then my favorite is to that gorgeous music in the short program when I think she's pantomiming opening like a suitcase and trying on a shirt or something.
Maybe it's like a chest, you know?
Yeah, I don't. But she is so musical. So she's one where she backloads the short program. Mm-hmm. And when I watched it, I didn't even notice. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, halfway through, I was like, oh, wait, she hasn't jumped yet, which is a stark contrast to the other ones where you're clearly waiting.
She has gorgeous skating skills.
It was
even
beautiful.
With the movement that Terry puts in, she like makes each movement matter. Count. There's one movement where she does a ring position, where like the Bielman position, the catch foot, where she's going into, I think, a Lutz, where I'm like, you could hold that longer. But I thought overall, she just breathes, especially that free skate is amazing. Yeah. If you haven't watched it.
Oh, no, it's deliberate and beautiful, and she's very special. Yeah. She's very, very special.
I like her more than Trusova and the other Terry bots. I really do.
There's an elegance and a sophistication.
Mm-hmm. She's still getting her strength back. Because like a year ago in the spring, she was skating stronger, but she did like break her leg and miss all of that training time that you get. So
insane. Yeah. Insane.
She's the one that did the quad toe, triple toe over the summer. And it was rotated. And it was like, wow. So amazing.
But it's also, but not at the sacrifice of the actual skating.
Yeah.
That's what makes her so special. Yeah. I was glad that you sent me those clips because I was confused and thought it was junior nationals already for the Russians, and I was confused.
Well, Jonathan, I know how to pick out a skater. You're going to know what my taste looks like. You know the Marin Hondas and the Anna Sherbakovas and the Conrad Orzels.
I'm usually with you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Well, you know, we've got a lot of things going on. Well, Jonathan, I think that, we've really covered our bases. I'm looking forward to Europeans next week. What are
Europeans is going to be exciting. I think it's a smart move that Aliona and Bruno aren't there. I thought that
she is 110. You got to keep the body intact.
Which makes me then 210, I think.
Yes.
But so I think that was a wise move and could be an exciting opportunity for the French.
Yeah.
For Vanessa and Morgan, if they're able to.
That's so like you, Jonathan. Someone pulls out and you're thinking, well, maybe my team can medal now. You are just like... You're a competitive one.
Because was it because of an injury, Bruno and Aliona are just like,
Oh, so when the baritone at the Met, gets nodules, you're like, oh, that's so tragic.
No,
Here is my card. You're like Kathy Griffin being like, I could do fashion police at the funeral. Okay, that is.
No, never.
Oh, never.
Don't think I wasn't thinking about Joan Rivers though when I went in for my, when my ENT was going to operate. I was like, you aren't the one who did Joan Rivers, are you? And she was like,
Christopher Schumann went to that doctor.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I went to Dr. Jenny Cho in New York, who's the best.
Wonderful.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just the best. But I'm excited, and we're going to see Medvedeva.
Yes.
At Europeans, which I'm very excited about also. So.
I am. I want to see her against Zagitova. I like to watch.
And it's going to be a little duke out between Carolina and Maria. So let's see what happens. Carolina, who just left Mishin. She just left Mishin.
Well, she got everything she needs from Mishin. She got the
she got the lots and the flip toe back. So she's like, bye.
Maybe she got to go to the good doctor too. Do you get that? If you train in Russia, do you get to go to the good doctor? Is that how this works?
Oh, maybe that's your in. Okay, intriguing. Okay.
I want to go. Yeah. Do you think he could fix my ankle?
Even if there's nothing wrong, I want to go.
Do you think he could fix my ankle? He could do that, right? It'll be stronger than ever, right?
Be the bionic man by the time you're done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and then Tonya Harding not wanting to talk about the past. Honey, you have a movie out that's about the past. Exactly.
What would you like to talk about then? The present?
Although, they did kind of put her on a show like Piers Morgan, who he is going to ask those questions. So that was not a smart move by Michael. Although I do love that Michael Rosenberg, so we were talking about this, you're like, well, who is he represented? Okay. So he had Ty and Randy and the whole Ty TV movie. He loves a hard luck story. He had the waitress and the truck driver. That was his team. I think he had Christopher Bowman. So he loves a real skating story. This is...
Did you know I sat next to Kala Urbanski's mom at an opera once?
No.
we were talking about something, and suddenly she was like, my daughter's a figure skater. And, you know, this always happens in singing, too. Oh, you know, my nephew's a singer. And you're like, yeah, right, whatever. And I was like, oh, she's a figure skater. And she's like, yeah, she went to the Olympics. And I was like, she doesn't know what lie she's getting into. I was like, oh, really? What's her name? She was like, Cal Urbanski. And I was like,
the waitress?
Like, great. I'm still waiting on my Diet Coke. Can she bring that over? Yeah.
Love.
Chris. Yeah.
Love. I mean, there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
And why did we never get a short program to Downton Abbey? I think we did once, right? But it wasn't important.
That would be good stuff. Good music.
Good stuff, you know? Yeah. Especially with this IJS. It's just nice background music to have.
I'm surprised a Canadian hasn't, because there's such that British sentiment, you know, over there. Maybe they'll use it now, at your recommendation.
Maybe Larkin could do it next season.
Great. I look forward to not watching that on YouTube. I'm teasing. I'm just being silly.
Jonathan, everything everyone said about you on YouTube is true. Or whatever. Well, as always, we want to remind you, get in your lounge singer vibe. Rock your short hair and your tassels and your fringe. And look sexy, all right? Bye, guys.
We wrap up these 2018 Canadian Tire Nationals and Olympic trials, Olympic selection process. These retiring champions leave you with an essay. Now, this is an essay in their own words. It is a passing of the torch. It is goodbye to Tessa and Scott, to Megan and Eric, and to Patrick. It is about how they are passing this torch of greatness on to the next generation, as it was passed to them by former champions.
George Bernard Shaw once said,
"Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch,
which I have got a hold of for the moment.
And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible
before handing it on to future generations."
I can remember when I put my skates on as a kid.
At home, we would sit in front of the TV.
When we started training together.
And looking at the people ahead of us.
I knew.
We knew.
Then and there.
We wanted to be like Megan and Eric.
Like Patrick Chan.
Like Tessa and Scott.
It's very special when a skater rises to the level of a world champion.
Canada has had a rich history of them.
But to have 3 generational talents come along at the same time.
We have witnessed something truly special.
It's been quite a journey with all of us. We've been through the ups and downs together.
I don't think we could have imagined what was in store for us, what the future could hold.
Tessa Virtue, Scott Moir, Olympic champions.
How lucky were we?
To witness something so unique and special.
They are unrivaled in this country.
5 incomparable, amazing athletes.
Reaching the apex of their sport.
That's what Patrick Chan has that few others have.
But the cycle of life dictates
that all good things must come to an end.
While this might be goodbye, it isn't the end.
Like others before us,
it's our turn.
To pass the torch.
To the next generation.
To the next pair.
To the next man.
To the next team.
They are champions in every way.
Trying to learn from them is the best thing we can have yet.
Patrick has been my idol in skating for so long now, and he still is. When I get to be on the same ice as him, it's even more incredible.
Tessa and Scott were really the ones that kind of captivated me to ice dance.
They're so inspiring, and then every day training with them was just a gift.
It makes it that much more special to be sharing these experiences.
The word fortunate comes to mind. I mean, it's been great to kind of share this ride with all 3 of them.
Thank you, Patrick.
Merci, Megan.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Tessa and Scott.
Caitlin and Andrew?
Take 1. The past couple seasons, we've had some great highs and great achievements, but we've also had some disappointing performances and finishes. We really sat back and realized that we need to change environments.
We are based in New Jersey and also in Moscow, Russia. We are taught by Nikolai Morozov.
If you want, you can try back crossovers, maybe in Kilian or something.
This change has been scary, but it was absolutely worth it. Nikolai has a unique sense of humor and way of putting things that's very blunt and honest.
One exit, preparation counter. You try to do too fast.
In our first phone conversation, he said, "You used to be the best. Why are you not the best anymore?" And we were taken aback, like, "Oh, well, I don't know." And we had to think for a second, why are we not the best anymore? That already put us in a different frame of mind as to what we needed to do moving forward. I like this one, actually. Did you see the bracket?
That's okay. Nikolai didn't want us to skate at all for the first 2 weeks of our partnership. He wanted us to just go out, dance every single style we could possibly do, just to feel the movement in our body.
And in the first couple days of working together, he said, "Okay, I want to see your program from last year in full, from the beginning to the end." And he said, "Well, it's not bad, but I think your music is boring. Your choreography is too complicated, but it doesn't look hard. My daughter can skate faster than you, and she's 12. Yeah, I think you're not on the right track." And for us, it almost was a welcome relief, because we thought, oh, maybe this is why we haven't been succeeding to the point we want and why we don't feel fulfilled as much as we would like.
New coach, now looking to show a new side to their skating.
We weren't sure at our stage if there was much more that we could do. Maybe our best years were completed, but we found hope with him.
Well, he's done terrific work with these two, and they have worked so hard to reinvent themselves.
We've pushed ourselves far beyond what we thought was possible, and I think that's a beautiful gift that he's given us and what we continue to give each other every day.